sufficient faith, you can be an economist. And I want to tell you that what we do in academics, and you guys got the hard job. Every day you have to prepare and you have to go out and do whatever you do. In academics, you do one prep. It's called a preparation. So you write your lecture for the day. And maybe occasionally, you'll tweak it. But once you've written your prep for that lesson, maybe tweak it once, you can actually work at New Mexico State for 37 years and never change that lecture. Kind of a maverick in everything he did. He had 4 wives. But he's always ethical. I've never made those two connections, but I think that's the case. But at any rate, for some reason, Bill Daniels, in all of his business dealings, insisted upon the highest ethical standards. And he called them principle-based ethics. Well, what kind of businesses was he in? He is actually, to many people, the father of cable television. And he started it in Denver, Colorado. He'd gone to Denver, Colorado to set up business. And he's the father of cable TV. And I'd love to tell a story yesterday, and I tell it frequently during this discussion. He was up at Casper, Wyoming. I don't know if you've ever been in Casper, Wyoming. I spent the best 2 weeks of my life there one night when I was passing through. But he owned the Utah Stars. And back in the good old days, there was the NBA and the ABA, and the Utah Stars was in the ABA. And as you all know, they had the multicolored basketball. You all remember the multicolored basketball. That's the way you differentiated the teams, I think. And the fact that the ABA didn't play very well was another differentiating quality. But about halfway through the season, the Utah Stars went broke. And Bill Daniels was the owner. And later on, as you all know, the ABA merged with the NBA, and now we have what we have. But at any rate, he went away and made some more money. And he went back to Salt Lake City, and he paid all the ticket holders, all the season ticket holders, he paid them for half of the season that they'd missed because his team went broke. And then he found all the vendors, and he asked them to estimate how much profit they had lost as a result of the Utah Stars going bankrupt. And as a result of that, he paid them what they thought their profit foregone had been as a result of the Utah Stars going bankrupt. So that's how to do it. It was your obligation to go and see them and then say to them, I have changed my mind, this is the reason I changed my mind, and to do that. Because your word was supposed to be your bond. Handshake deal. How many handshake deals have you been in lately? Any handshake deals? Try and buy a car, 390 pages of paperwork and all that kind of stuff. Buy a house is worse. And no handshake deals anymore. I was going through my father and mother's materials after they both passed away, and I actually found a legal-sized envelope that was a loan from the Citizens Bank of Aztec to my father, William Carruthers. The entire note was printed on the back of an envelope, and it says, it says William Carruthers, agrees to pay $1,000 at probably 2% interest back in those days, on the following dates, signed William Carruthers and the banker. That's the Old West, the way we used to run the Old West. How many yards apart? The way I shoot a pistol, you have to be pretty close for me to hit you, even if I were a fast draw. But it seems to me in some of those films, they were standing 50 yards apart, pulling a pistol and hitting the guy dead in the heart. The good guy always hit the bad guy. And it was just marvelous shooting, something that no one else can replicate anymore. But at any rate, the only thing that was essential here was that it was a fair fight. Now, the worst thing he could do is shoot somebody in the back. That was not a fair fight. Even though he might be a real scoundrel, might have committed numerous crimes, you did not shoot somebody in the back. That was not a fair fight. Your colleagues yesterday, if you've ever gone to a farm convention or ranch convention or something, there's not a lot of bravado and talking. They talk to each other a little bit, but they're not that outgoing. They're very simple people. They do, but they don't talk. Now, they're also very straight to the point. And I want to give you a couple things you can remember because I still hear them. If if Angela wanted to praise one of you, which I hope she does frequently, and the 2.5% people, if we're really going to be happy, if she wanted to praise a person in the Old West, she would say simply, he's a good hand. He's a good hand. And to this day, in New Mexico, I can still hear particularly Western rural people say, oh, there goes Garrey Carruthers, he's a good hand. Keep it, talk less and say more. Remember that some things aren't for sale. Know where to draw the line. And most of all, we ride for the brand. And this is my brand right here at New Mexico State University. Now I have a special treat for you. Well, one of my good friends is Bernadette Montoya, who's the vice president of the New Mexico State University, but also happens to be a great country and Western musician. And when I started giving this, when she found out I was going to talk about ethics, she says, I have a song that I think just fits the message that you're trying to give.
The Strickland Awards awards, and the Strickland Award, named after Charles Strickland, who served as NMSU's pleased to award it to Stan Dyer from Project Development Engineering and Matt Oka in Business Administration. And today we're going to start with Greg Haubold from Environmental Health and Safety. Much of the effort in the safety profession goes unnoticed unless something goes terribly wrong. Greg Haubold's efforts may be unknown to most, and yet he plays a major role in the safe handling and disposal of about 80,000 pounds of hazardous waste each year. When it comes to pulling for the team, Greg is regularly taking on an extra load. The additional duties include teaching safety classes, taking on special projects in addition to his regular workload, and responding to unplanned situations that occur outside of business hours. Greg makes the extra effort to ensure that the outcome of his work is of high quality and very professional. He takes on challenges and treats them as an opportunity to learn and grow. There are many situations of this type that have occurred, and several have been responses to reported hazards that occurred in the evening or on a holiday when he immediately responded from home. Now, Katrina writes very well and very proficiently. You can read the rest of this on Facilities and Services. Well, I'm going to read what they wrote. Executive Director of Facility Operations Tim Dobson wrote about Omar. Mr. Marino is totally committed to the mission of Facilities and Services. He focuses on what is important and leads by example. His willingness to look for a better way to do things and learn from the process is commendable. He has a passion for getting the job done the first time without compromising his work standards. He does not make promises to our customers that he can't keep. He is dedicated to servicing our customers and will go the extra mile to meet a commitment to the customer. His commitment, dedication, and dependability are the driving force behind the Facilities and Services Aggie Recycling Program being ranked as one of the top 5 in the nation. Mr. Marino is a valued asset to the organization and a good hand. Thank you. We're going to give that to Henry Spallin from Project Development and Engineering. Henry, you here? Written by Alton. Henry has been in the Facilities and Services Project Development Engineering Office since May of 2007. During this period, Henry has quietly completed 46 projects worth a value of $59 million. Henry's most recent accomplishments are the Barnes & Noble bookstore, Chamisa 2, and now the 10-inch waterline rehabilitation project. The Barnes & Noble bookstore project contained unusual cost accounting issues to overcome. Due to the size and configuration of Chamisa 2, Henry developed a very large and unique 1,300-plus line item schedule of values to track this project's cost. As with any successful project, the outcome is a reflection of the person guiding the process. Henry's ability to fill this role is impressive. And you know, I particularly appreciate what Henry did with Chamisa and the bookstore. Both of those were tough projects. The deadlines changed a couple of times. The issues changed. And yet he took care of every bit of it, kept the customers informed. So thank you, Henry.
About 10 years ago, the business office launched a campaign focused on improving support for our employees and also improving the service that we provide to our internal and external customers. The theme is We C.A.R.E, which means continually awarding and recognizing employees, reflecting our intentions to deliver a consistently good service to our customers and help them achieve excellence in their work. Each year, Administration and Finance awards a Star Performer Award to include a cash award of $250 to an active regular employee nominated by fellow employees or by customers for which we are providing a service beyond their expectations. It is the opportunity to catch someone doing right and ensure they are publicly recognized for their efforts. The James L. McDonough Employee Recognition Fund is supported strictly by generous contributions of our current and our former employees. The fund is named after the former Senior Vice President for Administration and Finance, who was instrumental in the establishment of the fund and also the We C.A.R.E campaign. This year's recipient has, through her actions, been caught doing something right. Here are just a few quotes from her nomination form. There was a genuine feeling of let me help as a result of her action. I can't tell you how much I appreciated it. Now that I look back, I can see that this is part of her nature. When someone needs her, she is there. She has always demonstrated an energy level and desire to do everything when it comes to projects, staff training, and supporting her staff. During my leave, she did not hesitate, and she clearly had the full support of those within her division who are her coworkers. This is a true reflection of her style. No doubt or question in my mind regarding dedication, reliable, and dependable. In this case, it was not a can-do attitude. It was beyond that with a let-me-help approach. Her letters of recommendation include the following comments. She always takes time to answer my questions thoroughly and thoughtfully. She gives the extra details and insights that really help one understand the process or reasoning behind the decision. She takes the time to answer to make sure that the people under her supervision have all the tools they need to succeed. She is cheerful, her door is always open, and she lets you know when you are appreciated. I admire and respect her a great deal. She is a terrific manager, as she is able to say just the right thing to encourage her staff to perform to their maximum potential. She maintains a cheerful demeanor and can-do attitude in the face of adverse circumstances, which is an inspiring leadership skill for our department. My team works closely with her, and we find her to be such a positive force. Her first priority is always the university, faculty, staff, and students. She is a great partner, and we find her knowledge to be invaluable to us as an organization. On a personal note, I know that when I call on her about any time of day, and she will greet me with a warmth and kindness, and always conduct herself professionally in trying to help me solve whatever dilemma I am bringing her way. Please join me in congratulating Ms. Paula Pierson as this year's recipient of the James L. McDonough We C.A.R.E Award.